We've heard some feedback from one council member who said that, well, you know, this is an interesting proposal. It'll save money for not just LA. It could save money for LA City and 2 other jurisdictions, but I'm only concerned about the savings to for the city of LA and not for LACCD and LAUSD, because we're the ones facing a deficit. And so what if, you know, the other jurisdictions can save money? What would be your response there?
Not to speak in a disparaging manner about that comment, but to me, I think it's idiotic.
Well, that was blunt.
I only care about Los Angeles, and I don't really care about the kids and the amount of money that it takes to run an election. You know, community colleges, to me, one of the most important parts of higher education. I think that's stupid. And I think that's probably the problem, is for people to have that kind of an attitude. You know, I understand what it is whenever you advocate something different, because, you know, I got elected under this system, so I know about this system, so don't give me anything that is different. But ask the general public, you know, how ridiculous it is to spend the amount of money that we spend. I think that they would probably say that we shouldn't be spending this money. And I just think that anything that increases the people's participation is in the best interest of the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I just had a general question. Is IRV being used anywhere else, and is it working?
What?
Yes.
Is IRV being used anywhere else? Like,
San Francisco, Oakland?
and how is it working? And
IRV is being used in a wide variety of jurisdictions. Up north in San Francisco, it was voted in 2002. It's been used since 2004. Over there, it's worked very well. In fact, voter turnout has gone up 168% overall. And if you look at the 6 most diverse neighborhoods in the city, IRV actually raised voter turnout went up by over 300%. And it's not just in San Francisco. Minneapolis just voted to adopt IRV. Oakland is in the process of implementing IRV. Santa Fe, New Mexico, just voted to have IRV. And in fact, Ireland has used IRV to elect its president since 1938. So this is nothing new. And this is part of a national movement that people are embracing because it makes common sense, it helps voters, and it saves tax dollars. So that's pretty much its pedigree and record to date.
I was talking to a friend on the bus. This isn't my question. But we were talking about this event, and he said he was not, it's a good idea, but he was against it because it's just going to confuse voters. People have a hard enough time with yes and no. To put in 1, 2, or 3 is just going to be too baffling. Again, not my question, but it's a concern that he brought up. So,
one thing is that maybe if folks aren't used to voting 1, 2, 3 that way, but we do it all the time in real life. You go to an ice cream store, they don't have vanilla. What do? You go for your second choice. Maybe it's chocolate, maybe it's hazelnut, who knows. But in the voting area, people catch on really quickly. And in fact, in San Francisco, what we've seen is that after IRV was introduced, 87% of voters surveyed said that they understood it quite well. In fact, 90% of Latino voters said they understood it and understood how to use it. So, certainly it'll take some voter education, and that we are fully prepared to do. And they did a really successful campaign in San Francisco, and there's a really good track record on which we can build. But after that education is done, voters get it.
Thank you for your comments. My name is Larry Herrera, and I'm the city clerk for the city of Long Beach, and it was nice to come across the river today to visit you here. But my question had to do with a couple of things. Has there been any work or any analysis done to determine whether or not there are any risk of federal voting rights violations with respect to instant runoff voting? And then secondly, would you see any advantage to, let's say, putting a charter amendment on in 2009, or if you're in Long Beach, 2010, calling for instant runoff voting, but holding it off until a future election. I'm wondering if that makes it, allows elected officials in the community to adapt to change, lets the systems catch up. I'm curious as to what your comments are on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, basically, courts have actually examined IRV in the past, and no court has ever found that, or rather, I'll phrase it positively, IRV has been found to comply with the Voting Rights Act. No challenge has ever held up when it comes to IRV. The second question had to do with implementation. Now, that takes a little bit of time, as you can know, because you have to train people, you have to reconfigure machines, and that typically takes 1 to 2 years. In our proposal for instant runoff voting for Los Angeles, we propose that you have an election, this be put on the ballot for November '09, but it not be implemented until 2011, in time for the city elections there, because you need to get it right. That's very important.
See, the reason I think that it is timely now in the state of California is because we're in the process of redoing our machines. Most counties in the state of California have had innumerable problems with their machines and with their system. And there's a lot of talk, and of course there's a lot of complaints about the amount of money it would take. But it has to be done. So it is particularly timely today for Los Angeles, a city as large as Los Angeles, because you're talking about future elections, and we're probably in the process of going out and trying to buy some of these machines, new machines that are out in the market. So I think that the issue that was raised, would there be a problem in doing it in one election and implementing it in another? I think it's probably the only orderly way of doing it, because I think it'd be the worst thing would be ordering it in the election and having it implemented a year later or two. It takes several years in order to get it implemented correctly, and having the right software and tools for you to put it forth.
Thanks, Richard. Just wanted to add something on voting equipment. According to the LA City Clerk's report, Secretary of State Deborah Bowen will certify the city's voting equipment only until up to May 2009. Beyond that, the certification will not be allowed. So the city is going to have to buy new voting equipment, regardless of what happens with IRV. Now, that equipment is going to cost over $30 million. Now, the catch is that IRV can help pay for that equipment. That would be especially helpful in a time that the city's facing a $406 million and counting deficit. So basically, in roughly 4 election cycles, IRV could pay off the costs for that new equipment.